Okay, so picture this, right? A figure like just explodes onto the scene like wildfire, pure chaos commands attention, but without like a single ad, no marketing budget, nothing. It's Gotham's Joker, right? And today we're going deep on this. How did this agent of anarchy like accidentally become a masterclass in viral marketing and personal branding? I mean, you sent me all this stuff about both of those things. Plus, you're always talking about like the weird success stories. So let's see if a supervillain can teach us something about influence in the modern world.
It really is a fascinating kind of paradox, isn't it? I mean, we usually think of viral marketing as like these carefully planned campaigns, right? And then personal branding, that's all about, putting yourself out there in a very specific way. But the Joker, it's like pure chaos is his driving force. And somehow through all that, he gets this crazy notoriety recognition that most brands, they would kill for that kind of attention.
Yeah, it's wild, right? So, okay, for this deep dive, our mission, it's like we're treating the Joker's rise in Gotham as this bizarre, like extreme case study, right, in viral marketing and personal branding. We've got stuff here defining viral marketing as that organic spread of a message, and personal branding that's the intentional shaping of a unique identity. We're going to break down how the Joker's actions, they kind of fit, or maybe more accurately, like totally shatter these definitions, looking at his brand identity, who he's actually reaching his strategies for just creating mayhem where it all falls apart for him, and then the lasting impact. So with this guy who seems to be all about randomness, where do we even start trying to understand his impact?
Well, I think the most logical place to start is with his brand identity, right? Whether he's doing it on purpose or it's just, a side effect of being completely insane, the Joker's got this incredibly distinct brand that people just remember instantly.
Oh, absolutely. The stuff you send over makes that crystal clear. Like his core, he's a psychopathic criminal, no doubt. But then you add in that razor sharp intellect and like the most twisted sense of humor you've ever encountered. Even his nicknames, right? The Clown Prince of Crime, the Harlequin of Hate, those are like taglines, for his own brand of madness.
And what's really interesting is how consistent his visual brand is. Think about it, the purple suit, that crazy green hair, the white face paint with that slash of a red grin. I mean, instantly recognizable, right? It even says here that when they tried to change his look in the Batman animated series, they went back to the classic pretty quickly, which I think just shows you how powerful those consistent visuals are. They just burn a brand into the public consciousness, even when the brand is built on, terror. So for you, thinking about your own professional image, what are those consistent visual elements that make you memorable?
Yeah, and it's not just the look, is it? It's the whole package. He's got his signature tools of chaos too, right? The razor-tipped playing cards, the joy buzzer that's actually lethal, the flower that sprays acid. It's not random weapons. They're all tied back into this clown persona and like his own twisted version of, company swag. You see the thing, you instantly connect it back to him and get this. In a world full of people with superpowers, he's relying on just his brain, his chemical concoction, and this flair for the dramatic.
Which from a branding perspective is actually even more impressive. He's not relying on some inherent ability. He's using creativity theatrics to apply his skills and build his brand. Felt like how a startup might use innovative marketing, a compelling story to stand out from the crowd.
But here's where it gets really interesting, right? The sources, they point out that unlike so many characters with these, very established origin stories, the Joker's past is totally murky. It shifts, it's contradictory. You've got the classic Red Hood origin story, the chemical vat. But then there are these theories that he's actually totally sane, just faking insanity as a legal tactic. I mean, it's almost like he's deliberately creating this air of mystery, right? Like he understands that the unknown can be totally captivating, even if it's also kind of unsettling.
It's true that deliberate ambiguity, it's a powerful branding tactic, even if it is disturbing, by not having one fixed narrative. He's always unpredictable, always fueling more speculation. He stays in the spotlight. It's like a perverse kind of anti-authenticity, where the core of his brand identity is that there is no real verifiable self. How does that contrast with all the advice out there about being authentic when you're building a personal brand?
And even his worldview that's all twisted, it's part of the brand, right? The idea that anyone can go mad after one bad day, this nihilistic belief that life is meaningless, his obsession with pushing Batman to the edge, it all builds this consistent message of chaos and how fragile order really is. It's dark, but it's a cohesive brand narrative for sure. So with this bizarre but potent brand identity established, who exactly is he trying to reach? Who's the target audience?
Well, initially, like we see in his early appearances, he's going after Gotham's elite, right? the wealthy, the powerful. And he often announces it in advance, which creates instant fear across the entire city, gets the media buzzing, so he's established himself on a grand scale immediately.
But it's bigger than just those in power, right? He's got a following in Gotham's criminal underworld, too. There's that Last Laugh storyline where he infects all these other supercriminals with his Joker venom, basically turning them into extensions of his own chaotic brand. I mean, it's calculated, even if it's totally insane. He's building a base of loyal followers.
Exactly. He's tapping into the fear and the breakdown of society that he himself is creating his actions. I mean, as crazy as they are, they resonate with people who feel like they're on the fringes, disenfranchised. He accidentally creates this twisted sense of belonging for anyone who embraces the anarchy. It's kind of like how cult leaders work, right? Offering community to people who are lost, feeling disillusioned.
And we can't forget his main obsession, right? Batman, his whole thing about trying to influence Batman break his moral code, it's central to the character, but that constant conflict with Gotham's protector, it actually amplifies the Joker's notoriety. Every news story about Batman stopping the Joker is still fundamentally a story about the Joker.
You're right. It's like Batman is this ultimate unwilling validator of the Joker's brand. Their whole dynamic is so intertwined that Batman's existence actually reinforces the Joker's significance, even if that significance is all about being the opposite. It's a messed up kind of co-branding where the conflict itself is what drives recognition for both of them, which brings us to his viral marketing strategies. And this is where his chaotic nature really mirrors how unpredictable things can go viral.
It's true. Unpredictability, it's like the core of his strategy. If you can even call these chaotic impulses a strategy, his crimes, they swing from like absurd and goofy to horrifyingly brutal. There's no pattern. It keeps him in the news cycle. It's like a terrifying cliffhanger every time he shows up. What insane thing is he going to do next? And think about it. Online content that's unexpected or novel that gets shared way more. The Joker, in his twisted way, he gets the power of breaking expectations to hold people's attention. A principle used for evil, sure, but it underlies a lot of viral content.
And then there's the literal embodiment of viral marketing, Joker venom, right? This horrible toxin that gives his victims that grotesque grin. It's a terrifyingly effective way to spread his brand. It's a visual stamp, instantly recognizable, super disturbing, and it directly links that specific horror to the Joker-forced biological brand association.
He's also a master of the stunt, the spectacle, announcing his targets beforehand, setting up these elaborate death traps, the theatrical escapes. It's all designed to grab the media's attention, keep the public fascinated. He understands you got to create memorable content, even if that content is all about violence and terror.
And his alliances, they might be famously short-lived because of all the chaos, but even those temporary partnerships with other villains, those groups like the Injustice Gang, they spread his influence even further. It's like he's a disruptive force, integrates with these networks, then blows them apart.
There's even mention of him using Gotham's media for a bit, and get this, he was briefly the Iranian ambassador to the UN, which obviously backfired spectacularly, but it shows he's willing to use any channel, no matter how weird, to maximize his reach. Think about it like social media today. He's using whatever platform he can to get his content, his acts of chaos, seen by as many people as possible, even if the reaction is fear and condemnation.
It's messed up, but in a way, every crime he commits, it's like shareable content in Gotham's story, right? People talk about the latest Joker attack. They share the horror, and by doing that, they're actually spreading his notoriety. It's like the ultimate negative word-of-mouth marketing.
But all this chaos, all this notoriety, this viral spread of his influence, it's got to have its limits, right? So let's get into where he fails and the ultimate fallout of this anarchy as a brand strategy.
For sure. His biggest weakness is that he just can't maintain stable alliances. He can't help himself. The chaos, the self-destruction, it sabotages any chance of long-term collaboration. Even the toughest criminals in Gotham eventually realize he's too unpredictable, too dangerous to be a reliable partner.
And then, of course, there's Batman constantly opposing him. That's a powerful counter-narrative, right? Batman's always there to stop the Joker's plans, so his brand of anarchy never takes over completely. It's like Batman's this ultimate brand regulator, always pushing back against the Joker's chaotic influence.
Exactly. And he might be notorious, but the reputation he's built, one of being totally unreliable and terrifyingly violent, that doesn't exactly build trust or make people like you, which is kind of important when you look at the basics of building a positive personal brand, right? Authenticity, purpose, building trust. The Joker is the opposite of all of that.
The sources you sent about personal branding, they really stress being genuine, having a clear purpose, building real connections based on trust. The Joker's obviously like, nah, to all of that. And in the end, despite all the chaos he creates, his goals, whatever they are inside his messed up mind, they always seem to stay just out of reach. He never actually takes control of Gotham for good.
Which leads to some really interesting real-world parallels. Can we see hints of the Joker's rise to infamy in our world? Minus the supervillain stuff.
Oh, totally. We see these unintentional viral sensations all the time. Something blows up online with no marketing strategy behind it at all. The Joker's actions, unpredictable, shocking, grabbing attention quickly. It's kind of similar to that in a weird way. That article about viral marketing, it even says that true virality, it's often unpredictable, impossible to totally engineer.
And think about those controversial figures who get tons of attention for doing or saying something outrageous or shocking. Their brand, good or bad, usually bad, spreads like crazy, even if most people hate them. It's like what we were talking about earlier with that article, the difference between personal branding and viral fame. The Joker, he's definitely famous, but it's fleeting, built on fear, not the kind of lasting, positive influence that makes a strong personal brand.
The whole dark side of going viral, that's relevant too, right? The Joker's actions, they have horrible, tragic consequences. And in the real world marketing campaigns that go viral but are poorly thought out or just ethically messed up, they can cause a huge backlash, hurt a brand's reputation for a long time. That source, Viral Marketing, What It Is, How It Works, it talks about the risks of campaigns that go viral for the wrong reasons.
It's fascinating to think about the difference between a bad reputation and a strong personal brand, even if it's a negative one. That LinkedIn article you said about this, it says someone can have a recognizable personal brand even with a terrible reputation. The Joker, I mean, he has the worst reputation you can imagine, but he's got this undeniable, powerful, instantly recognizable brand in Gotham. Everyone knows who he is, what he's about, the chaos, the disruption he brings.
Yeah, it's like that article says, your reputation is what other people say about you, but your personal brand is what you project. The Joker. He projects this image of pure, unhinged chaos and madness and the terrified people of Gotham. I'm pretty sure they would agree with that assessment, but like another article you shared, is your reputation congruent to your personal brand? It says that usually a good, lasting reputation comes from your values and actions matching up consistently. And the Joker, well, he doesn't have that at all.
And that TED Talk by Marco Salazar, he says it straight up, your personal brand is your reputation. It's how people see you, what they say about you when you're not around the Joker. He might have a strong brand in terms of just pure recognition, but what people say about him, it's all fear, destruction, terror. That's the opposite of a personal brand built on good qualities, trust, and real positive influence.
So putting it all together, the Joker, on his path of chaos and destruction, he accidentally shows us some key principles of viral marketing and personal branding, the power of having a striking, consistent identity, knowing how to grab an audience's attention through their fears, and creating unforgettable, even if horrifying, content.
But all those sources you said about building a good personal brand, they make it clear the Joker's case is a warning too. Just being notorious and recognized doesn't mean you're a positive influence or that your brand is sustainable. Real personal branding, it needs authenticity, a good, clear purpose, and most importantly, building trust and real connection, all the things the Clown Prince of Crime rejects completely. Like Mike Alabach's book, Viral Personal Branding, says the best personal brands offer something valuable to others. They build a sense of community. The Joker does the opposite. He tears down any sense of community.
Which brings us to a final, maybe kind of unsettling thought for you. If even pure, unadulterated chaos can become this influential and well-known, what does that say about the potential and the responsibility of people who are trying to build their personal brand and use viral marketing for good? What kind of mark do you want to leave on the world?
That's something to think about for sure.
It is all right. That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.